That wasn't recorded, thank God. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear us? Can you guys see us? All of our lovely people. I'm checking on YouTube to see if I am indeed live.
It looks like it's live. Yes. Awesome.
All of our lovely people. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. Oh, jeez. Turn
Looks like it's live.
Yes, we are live now. This is so exciting. Sorry, this is my first time actually doing this. Hi, Eddie. It's so good to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on your YouTube channel. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I really am too. I see a very beautiful beginning of very exciting things in the future. I'm excited to have you here.
Sounds
I'm
good.
sorry you had to miss out on our Twitter space this morning. I'm gonna keep trying to recruit you for the future continuously, even if you're busy each time.
Yeah, I was sad I couldn't make it. I saw lots of awesome people there, and I was really keen to join in, but I couldn't, unfortunately. Next time.
It's all good. You're busy. We get it. We respect our speakers' times. You guys are busy, so I respect you having you here. I appreciate the opportunity for you to come on here and to teach us and to show us really what everything about open source collaboration, really. So in case you guys don't know, today on this video we're titling. I have no idea what I titled it. I forgot already. It's about learning about open source collaboration, the beginner session with Eddie. Eddie, I would love to pronounce. How do I pronounce your last name?
I actually shorten it, so I've got it as Jaoude, but actually it's a kind of a French origin with accents and so forth. It's actually Abu Jaoude is my full name, but I never spell it that way because it's too long. You can't find the weird letters on the keyboard with all the extra lines. So yeah, I just shortened it to Jaoude.
Abu Jaoude? That
Yes,
is
that's correct.
lovely. Wow, Abu Jaoude. I love this sound. I actually took French in high school because I love how French sounds, but then I realized I would never use it. But it's beautiful. Sounds beautiful. But I worked with Hispanic populations here, so then in the past few years, I actually end up having to learn Spanish instead. So, different things happen in life. But do you speak French, Eddie?
Very badly. I should.
Very badly.
I should, but very badly, yes.
Very badly. That's okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure you speak many things. Eddie here is a very multi-talented man. Very multi-talented.
Just for the record, I've come here to learn from all of you. So I see we have Carl, Marina, James, Janet, so many awesome people in the chat, and obviously yourself, Kat. I've come here to learn from all of you today.
Yes, you do. Well, before we start teaching you, why don't you give a quick, or it doesn't have to be quick, give us an overview of what does open source collaboration mean to you and why are you passionate about it?
Well, that's quite a hard question. You'd like to think that as I preach about open source so much that I answer this, but I actually don't, and I change it every time. I mean, I love collaboration, and for me, open source is not about code. It's actually about the collaboration. We could be talking about an idea, we're talking about an issue, a bug, whatever it is. I feel that we do it in public and we do it for an open source project. Like all my projects are open source. And I spend a lot of my time and effort not only getting people into open source, but also getting companies to open source their projects and showing them that there's pros and cons to everything, but they're definitely the pros outweigh the cons by far. So I highly recommend all my clients do that. And I've taken some big companies and corporates and even government departments from the UK into open source. And so now we have the Eddie Hub community where we get to collaborate with people every day on open source, and I absolutely love it. So everyone watching, if you're an experienced person in tech or you're new to tech, then don't worry, open source is for you. Having a fresh pair of eyes can bring so much value to open source as well, which is what I love about it. I can learn from anybody, no matter how many years experience they have. Even if it's like their first day in tech, I can still definitely learn from them because I can bring a different perspective.
Wow. Eddie, not to roast you, but I agree. Just like how people caught that you missed a semicolon, missed a comma here and there that would break our entire file. I agree. It's the little things. Anyone can make collaboration and it can contribute. You can start small, but it gets bigger and bigger. And you know what? I actually had I was walking my dogs this morning and I was thinking, what are the benefits? Like, because you just said you're getting government people and companies that actually open source your projects. What do they get out of that? Like, I understand you get the collaboration, you get other people to look at it, but what besides that? I mean, but then how do they still profit off of their software if anyone can look at it and utilize it?
It's a great question. So there's benefits to both sides. I feel that open source really bridges the gap between potential employees or freelancers, as well as the company. And so to answer your question directly first, and I'll jump into some of the benefits and bridging the gap. I mean, I can give some examples, right? There's that small company, Red Hat. They're open source. They got bought for some pocket change of around 30 something billion or 70 billion. I can't remember dollars. So if they can do it for that, like I said, billion with a B, not an M, then anyone can do it. And it's a lot of these companies do it as maybe a freemium model. So, or I mean, I actually got a YouTube video on this, but they could do it where you can host it yourself for free, but if you want to use the hosted version, then you'd pay them for it. To give an example, WordPress. People are probably more familiar with WordPress. WordPress is completely open source. You can use it for free, and you can host it yourself. Done. That's it. They make no money. But if you want them to host it, you can pay them their $3 a month, and they will do all the upgrades, security patches, and so forth. And it's massively beneficial if you just want something just to work, and probably get a bit of support with that, or you can pay a bit extra to get even more support. So they can still make money, and companies are doing it all the time. Most of my clients, all of my clients now, as of the last 18 months, are completely open source. And that's who I bring to Twitter Spaces, live streams, and so forth. So I don't work with any closed source projects. And in the benefits, the company gets to see people they could work with. They actually get to see them, right? Interviews suck. They suck for both sides. I've been on both sides. I've interviewed hundreds of people over the years. And as an interviewer, it's really hard to understand if that person's going to be a good fit. Technically, when you're asking questions, you're usually asking kind of more academic questions, and that's not what the job is like. And for the candidate, they're getting asked these academic questions and like, am I really going to be doing this on the job? So whereas if you've got an open source project, best place I tell my clients and companies to hire people from is, go to the contributors and see who's contributing and reach out to them. They know the project, they can get started on day one. And it's great to see so many people like that. I've actually got a video coming out with some guests and a client, how they hired their DevRel team and their head of DevRel all from open source. So the way they did it was, the person, I don't want to mention too much, I don't want to spoil the video, but it should be coming out, I think, next Wednesday, that they liked the product, so they made a video on it, and they made a couple more videos on it, and the client said, we need a DevRel. Actually, someone's already made a video on it. Let's just, hire them, because they did a great video, and, they know the product already, and it kind of grew from there. And I see so many people doing that all the time already. So just so many massive benefits for doing things in public, because you get to see how people just work. Again, don't just to see their technical skills, they get to see how they collaborate with other people, which I think is the most important. Because at interview, everyone's on their best behavior. But when you see how they actually respond to random people online, for me, that's really, really important.
It's kind of like seeing determining a person's character by viewing how they even treat servers or just random people when they're out and about, when they're not on their best behavior. Yeah,
exactly.
Let me try and rephrase what you said to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So you're saying, from an administrative standpoint, it's very useful to see how individuals and developers are interacting and sharing information. And from a user standpoint, or for the public standpoint, it's acting as a bridge and allowing it can really elevate the standard, the public usage or accessibility to different products. So you don't have to pay for it yet. You can use all the basic features. It's open source. Anyone can use it, contribute, and understand it very well and learn from it. However, the closed source part. So I see Julian's comment here about keeping some features closed. So then a lot of stuff is open sourced. Everyone can see it, but then some features are closed. So then those are things that wouldn't be on the repo anymore. Is that how like it wouldn't be on the repository anymore? Is that?
So
True.
to give an example of this, Elasticsearch is a really good example of this. It's free to use. It's open source, but if you want authentication for it, that's then part of their paid package. So you can host it yourself. You can use it for free. You might have to put it behind your firewall, but then you don't have any clever ACL. It is just you're trying to lock it down in the way kind of a basic way. But if you want the clever automation and maybe reporting and authentication and authorization, then you go part of their paid plan. And then you can also get them to host it as well if you want. You've got various options depending on what you want to pay for and so forth. So yeah, that's another great way to do it as well, especially with microservices nowadays. People can open source most things and then just have part of it as part of the premium package.
Okay. Those are great examples. I would love to actually explore. Maybe not on this, maybe not on this stream. You guys, you always give so many things, and more things for me to open tabs. People make fun of how many tabs I have open. It's because people keep telling me these fascinating things. And I just want to keep looking to them. And I'm like, I want to look at it, but maybe not right now. So that's why I have so many tabs. You know what, Eddie? I'm going to start looking up for today. We're talking about the Eddie Hub and exploring, what is it like to go through Eddie Hub as a new user? So I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Let's do it. I'm super excited to get all your feedback and see how we can improve the Eddie Hub onboarding. This is a great example, actually. I can use Eddie Hub myself because I was there from the beginning. But what's it like for a new person to onboard? Have we made any assumptions? And that's why I think it's great for people who are new to tech or new to a project to go follow the documentation on a project, and they can contribute to the open source project by improving the documentation tutorial. Did it make sense? Was there a step missing? Did you have to Google something? Then let's make it better for the next person. So I'm super excited. So we've got lots of people in the audience. Hopefully there'll be some green squares for people to make improvements as well.
Yes, let's go. So here we just opened up Eddie Hub. So this is, if you go onto github.com, it's the Eddie Hub community. And here we go. So I'm guessing this is your organization, and then the repository contains an individual repo. So I'm going to start looking at the overview here. You have your markdown file, and an adorable little GIF. I would love to. This is so cute. I saw your earlier of how you can make coffee with. Oh, that's so cute. That was so cute. Eddie, I got to get more ideas from you. This is amazing.
To be honest, the community give me the most ideas, and they've done most of the work on this. So big shout out to the Eddie Hub community. And it's great to see so many people in the audience from the Eddie Hub community. Actually, all of you in the audience, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Kat's channel below. It's completely free, and you get to support Kat's YouTube adventures as well. But yeah, the Eddie Hub community have done most of the Eddie Hub stuff. I can't take credit. They're awesome. Like we've got Carl and Emma, or so many awesome people. Like Carl and Emma I do so many things on the Eddie Hub projects, reviewing pull requests. Oh God, so many things. I will be here till next week explaining. But everyone go check them out. They do so many awesome things.
Yes, check everyone out. But before you check them out, we'll finish this. Don't get distracted like me. Don't be like me and go like, "Ooh, squirrel." Okay, let's focus. So, step to get started. I love how it says very clearly here on your screen, I am in the presence of the most inclusive open source community on the planet. Wow. It's the home of open source. I feel like I'm on the next Reddit. This is the home of the open source. This is the face of the internet in the future. To join the Eddie Hub GitHub org by raising an issue. So you will receive so let's see what happens when I click
here.
here.
Give it a try.
Whoa, it invites me to join the organization. So what does it mean to join? Does that mean I get to, I'm going to go back. Does that mean I get to join this? Is that what that means?
Exactly. There's a few benefits to this, and hopefully some of the Eddie Hub members will also come up with some other ideas in the chat as well, because I might forget. So one of the benefits is you get to be listed on here. You can make it public on your profile as well if you want. That way, it's another way for people to find you. But also we can then start assigning issues to you from the Eddie Hub project, because you need to be a member to have issues assigned to you. So that's another benefit. Another benefit is, and Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, you can then opt in to have some of your open source Eddie Hub statistics captured on the live map. So when we're doing open source live streams, you can appear on the map as you create an issue or put a comment in. You'll appear on the live map where you are in the world, and all the events from whatever you're doing on the open source projects will appear. So it's kind of the first step to kind of get some of these features and integrations and so forth.
So what is the difference between joining here as a person part of the organization versus someone who comes into your repository and wants to make, for example, oh, I'm like, okay, here we go to here. So then we make a pull request. And so I know you can make pull requests. So you added this person, for example. So they made a change here. What is the difference between someone as a collaborator, or I don't even know, because there's different meaning to these different terms and titles on GitHub. So the title that you get by clicking on the invitation link versus someone who comes onto the repo and makes a pull request. I understand you just now you said one person, the person who clicked on the link, you can have issues assigned to you.
Yeah.
Is that separate from being a maintainer or being someone who's managing it, or what is the differences here?
That's correct. Great question. So if someone's part of the organization or not part of the organization, they can still make contributions. So they can still raise issues, they can still raise pull requests, they can still do all that great stuff. So being part of the organization just allows us to be able to assign the issue to them if they want to. Both can also review other people's pull requests, which we highly recommend. I think that's really, really important. But not just to approve it and move on, but to actually review it and give your thought and feedback. And that's a great way to network and collaborate and all the rest. So yeah, the main benefit being part of the organization is being able to have issues assigned to you, and in the future, potentially become an official maintainer. Anyone can review someone else's pull request, but only a maintainer can accept it. So therefore, in the future, they would have to be part of the organization if they want to become a maintainer. And so they can accept a pull request. The other benefit for us, specifically for EdiHub, is we can collect some of those statistics if you're part of the organization and you've opted in for it. So there is a second step to that. So this is step one of that two-step process.
Okay. Let me go back then. I seem to ask too many questions before you.
No, this is great. No, this is perfect.
All right. So doing that is actually volunteering to join the organization and handle issues as well as contributing. Okay. And clicking on this opens us to your Discord community, which I'm already a part of. So I already am in there. Oh,
almost 8,000.
No, you're almost 8,000. Oh my God, Eddie, I'm already in there because I send messages.
Yeah, I've tagged you, so you're definitely in there.
Exactly. Here, I'll try to go back so I don't get distracted. All right, so guys, go check out EdiHub's Discord community. It's so educational, so open and inclusive, so many opportunities to learn. Go check it out. Check on the link, guys. Like, there's just some of the best resources in life actually are free. You just have to be willing to go for it. So guys, go check it out. All right, next thing, number 3, practice the open source workflow by adding your name to our Hacktoberfest practice repo. So I actually have done that already. That was my very first pull request. Perfect. Just so you guys know. So I won't do it today. And get more green squares by adding your profile to our link free for your custom EdiHub URL. So this, I believe, you said it was one of your projects that we made for Fit Devs. So I guess this will open up to the repository. Yeah, so this opens up to the link-free repository. So this is like I'd love to ask, what's the difference between projects and repositories? Because that was one thing that was kind of confusing for me.
This is a really good question. And even, and also Emma agrees with me as well. Emma Dawson says, you ask brilliant questions, Kat. So I agree. This is actually really confusing. And I don't like the naming with this because originally, when I joined GitHub, when it first started like 10 years ago, there wasn't all these tabs on the top. There was just this page that you see. And so and later on, they brought issues and they brought other tabs along. So it started off being a repo, which was the repository for the code, like a Git repo. But then as this grew and you got issue tracking and pull requests and all that sort of stuff, now it's more of a project rather than just a repo. But then GitHub brought out project boards, which I think confused it even further. So it says projects in the tabs, but actually the full name is project board. And it allows you to kind of almost like a Trello board. So if you click on the one below, which says link free, it allows you to just this is the new one. So this is the new project board. It's in beta at the moment, but I think if you use second tab along, should be a different view of the same data, and it looks like Trello. So you can see what's to be done, what's in progress, prioritize it, and all the rest. So this is what a project board looks like. But yes, the repo page is more like a project page now because it's got GitHub Actions, which is continuous integration. It's got the project board. It's a terrible name, but it's got issues. It's got so many things as well.
So this is like this is basically GitHub's version of project management, and I think it's called like Kata boards or Agile boards. Like there's different boards for different styles of project management, and they've incorporated into GitHub. Ah.
Exactly. So I think this one that we use with to do, in progress, and done, but I've got a few extra columns in there, is like a Kanban board. So when
Kanban board, that's what it's called. Yes.
So when you create it, that's okay. When you create it, you can then pick a style like you said, and it will put a template, or you can have a blank one and create your own. And then with the beta boards, you get a lot of automations. As pull requests are closed, it can move from in progress column to done column and all the rest like that. So there's a lot more that can happen on the new style board. So there's 2 style boards at the moment: the classic and then the beta. And this is the beta one.
And this is all open. Anyone on the internet can view your project boards, huh?
Exactly. And it's great to see lots of companies doing the same, right? And they've also got their future planning boards. So they've got ideas they want to come in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. And it's really great to see companies more and more doing that. I think it's awesome. A lot of my clients do hire from we don't let people post in the EddyHub community jobs because we can't vet the company. We don't know if they're inclusive and so forth. But if they're a client that we've worked with, we allow them to, we're a bit more flexible because we know what they're like. We only work with certain clients. And so we know a lot of people have been hired as freelancers or permanent roles and so forth from the EddyHub community with our clients, which is super exciting.
Awesome. That's really cool. It's publicizing how these companies are working and this. Now I really understand why you talked about how people who want to work at these companies can actually understand their company culture even better by looking at how they manage projects, how they talk to each other even, and how are they moving things along, how are they project managing. I can see that now. This is really cool. It's it's crazy that we can see it. Sorry, go ahead, Eddie.
No, it's fine. I was just going to say that it's having the outside view just adds so much value, because when you're kind of working in a team of, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 people, they get up, they lose. How can I say? They lose context, but they have certain quirks. People know what they're talking about and all these sorts of things. But whereas, so to onboard new people becomes really hard. But when you've got when the project is open source, they can't make assumptions, and they've got to be a lot more clearer and give context when they're raising issues and pull requests and changes and all the rest. And that's why open source projects, I think, do really well, because they're thinking more about other people, and they're also making a bit of an extra effort. I know someone might slate me for this, but the amount of clients I've had where I'm going in to open source their projects, and the amount of devs that say, hey, wait, can we just have a few weeks to tidy up what we've done over the last 2 years? Because they're like, really embarrassed. It's very, very different. So I think open sourcing things from day one, everyone's, got a clear point of view of what's going on. Make sure there's no passwords in place, right automations in place, and stuff like that.
Sorry, I'm going to move to standing real quick.
That's fine. I'm going to say something while you're doing that. So also, I have seen students get hired not only in the EddyHub community, but also outside the EddyHub community via open source. And actually, one of the videos I'm coming out next Wednesday is when they got hired. They were a student, and the company couldn't believe it. But they said, we don't care. We love what you're doing. Please do it. Can we just pay you to do it more? Yeah, it's really awesome how open source is really bridging the gap between, forget recruiters, right? Sorry if there's any recruiters out there, but recruiters are a real pain. They're there just for their paycheck, and they'll ghost anyone that isn't going to guarantee them their paycheck and all the rest. So I love it how open source is bridging the gap and bringing people together.
I agree. I can see how this would be very helpful and very useful to get that actual honest view and to communicate with each other. I see some comments here. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Abhijit, Abhijit says, how to start as a refresher and how to find good projects to contribute. Well, you can just go straight to EddyHub. I think that might be a good first step. What do you say, Eddie? How would you answer this?
Definitely. And any questions, just ask. And the more specific you are in your questions, is the better answers you'll get. And actually, one of the interview tests I give to people is I get them to ask questions and to see, how they ask a question. And I actually get them to raise an issue. How do they raise an issue? Because, some people ask questions like, "Hey, I'm stuck. Can you help me?" It's like, what are you doing?
Where are you stuck?
Yeah. And they say, "I've got an error." It's like, great. Do you want to share it with me so I can help? So I think it's important for people to ask, I say good questions. There are no bad questions, but there are like badly worded questions. And so I think it's important for people to practice. It just takes practice. Like I still ask bad questions probably, but I've got better over the years. And I think it's important for people to look at what they're asking or how they're asking. And if someone couldn't see what they saw before the question, does it make sense? Does it give the right context? I'm explaining that really badly. I'm looking at to Emma and Carl and others to maybe explain that a lot better than me.
Yeah, you're good. It makes sense. Guys, I think as people, developers, students, learners, forever, really, forever, the rest of your life, being able to ask questions. I'm horrible at it because clearly I ramble a lot, but being able to ask questions in a precise manner that people can understand what you're looking for, where you're stuck is actually really important so that we can know, where's the problem, where's the obstacle, and how do we get you out of it? It's so important. So it's a good thing to keep practicing. Good thing to keep asking questions, I guess.
It's true. Questions are great. And when I love questions. I've started changing the way I give talks at the moment, like at events and conferences. If they say you've got a slot for like an hour, I kind of only prepared a talk for like 20 or 30 minutes because I want to have that dialogue with people and I want the questions for two reasons. I can focus kind of the conversation on what they're interested in. Two, it gives me more content for socials and, we're improving the talk, later on and so forth. So questions are just so amazing. I really appreciate questions. Everyone asks questions, but everyone ask in public. Don't use DMs.
All right, publicly asking. So actually, now that we're talking about asking questions, so Eddie, if someone had a question about Eddie Hub community, how would they go about it? Because just now you talked about people raising questions or raising issues, but then would it be right to go directly into discussions? Or here, let me open up, for example, in your link free. If someone wanted to ask questions, should they go onto the GitHub and ask questions, or do they go into the discussions, or do they submit an issue? What is the right way of going about that?
Great question. So discussions come before issues. So I'd recommend people to raise discussions. Issues are more of a bug or an action or an idea that someone wants to perform. So I would recommend starting off with a discussion, and there is a button on GitHub where once the discussion is kind of being thought out, and the discussion is like an issue on GitHub, it's just threaded, so you can have multiple conversations on the go about that topic, which is really useful rather than having one linear kind of conversation because it can get a bit messy. And then once the kind of discussion is a bit more finalized, that can be converted, that kind of thread can be converted into an issue. So it will probably still make it to an issue if it's performing some changes to the project. But so if someone sees a bug and says this list button doesn't work, don't start a discussion. Definitely raise an issue. There's something wrong. Include a screenshot and so forth. If you have an idea, you can raise it as an issue. But if it's something quite wide, like we should probably, let's think, we should redesign the website. That's probably more of a discussion because it's not focused. It's quite a more ongoing and longer kind of discussion. Pardon the pun.
And at what point does an issue become a pull request?
So another great question. So we go from the discussion to the issue, and the issue is we're going to perform an action. And everyone who doesn't know what a pull request is, the way I describe it is a pull request is just like an issue, but with changes to the project. So when it becomes a pull request is when someone's made some changes to the project, and they should reference the issue that they're referring to. So if a bug's been raised and the issue says this button doesn't work, and someone or goes to the wrong link or something like that, then someone makes the changes, it will come up via a pull request, and the pull request should refer to the issue with like fixes, hash, and the number of the issue. Therefore, everything kind of links together quite nicely.
I see. Thank you. That was a question I had because Emma, I don't know if you're still here. Emma Dawson, yes, she submitted issues, and I'm like, why do we have more issues than pull requests? And now it kind of makes sense why we want to openly discuss these issues so people can think about it and think about what might be the best way of approaching it before submitting a pull request and already making changes.
Exactly, because someone might make a change. If someone says your colors are blue and they want to make it orange, if I raise the pull request, you're probably going to reject it. So I've kind of wasted my time to do that. So it's always better, generally speaking, to raise an issue first. Then the maintainer can say, "Oh, great idea, go ahead." And this can go ahead. And then that's how we can use labels to say it's kind of been triaged, maybe, because someone else might see the issue and might still raise a pull request, which is the correct process, but it still hasn't been kind of approved that it will be accepted. I mean, it still might get comments on it because it might not be done in the most efficient way or according to the project standards, but at least the idea has been accepted, and you can do that with labels. Yeah, it's good to raise the issue, and just to be clear that the person raising the issue doesn't necessarily have to be the person raising the pull request. It could be two different people, and I highly recommend people do share the green squares, because you get a green square for starting a discussion, raising an issue, raising a pull request, committing, making commits in the pull request as well.
So when someone raises an issue, so for example, is it a process where while it's open, someone opens a pull request? For example, what I'm trying to say is right now I see 371 that's closed. Does that mean that 371 has already had an accompanied pull request that has gone through?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's not a one-to-one for multiple reasons. So it's another great question, because someone might raise a pull request and say, "Hey, Eddie, I want to change the Eddie Hub logo from a rabbit to a dog." And we might say, "No, thank you. Great idea, but no, thank you," and close the issue. So it won't be a one-to-one. Also, one issue might get 2 or 3 pull requests. It could be for multiple reasons. One reason is they didn't get assigned and two or three people worked on it. Other reason could be one person started working on it, they got some feedback to make some changes, and then it became stale and they didn't do anything for a while. And so someone else made another pull request, which would then carry it through. So it's not going to be a one-to-one ratio, I don't think.
Okay, but it's keeping it very open and public so people can view and actually work on the issues and pull requests together. That makes sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. I see some questions coming in.
Let's do it.
James. Yeah, James is asking, I have a question. How do you choose the tech stack for your projects?
Well, this is another good question. So there is the language to choose, and once you choose the language, then there's, I guess, the library or framework that you use. Let's just pick, front end for an example. Front end is probably going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But then what do you choose? You React, Vue, Angular, or any of the new fancy ones that come out daily. For the back end, you've probably got more choice. Do you choose Python, Java, JavaScript? There's TypeScript in there as well, and Ruby, and all the rest. And then once you've chosen those, what framework do you use within those? That's a really good question. We usually choose a technology that the community is more familiar with, and we try and have a champion of the project who's going to be the main maintainer on it. So, for example, I'm glad we got Carl in the audience. So, Carl's awesome at so many technologies, but Carl's the one who got me into React and so forth. But there's the Finder project, so the Good First Issue Finder project is written in SvelteKit. And Carl is their main maintainer on that. So, I think it makes sense for the main maintainer to who's leading it to choose the technologies for it. And it's not a million miles off anyway. It's not like hey, I want to do this obscure language that no one's ever heard of. So it's not a million miles off. And I think it's good to have a variety in the organization, the community, but not too much of a variety, because then I think you become too spread out. You definitely want to be niche to a certain degree. But things can always change. So we've written the link-free project in React, and we're going to be rewriting it. I've started it. There's a branch at the moment. I think there's a draft pull request open, which is going to be written in Next.js, so we can get statistics. So anyone who doesn't know, link-free is like an open source alternative to Linktree, but people want stats, so you can see how many times their profiles are being reviewed, how many times which links are clicked the most, and all the rest. So we are converting that over to Next.js with Mongo and so forth. So things can change as well, which is the beauty of open source.
And I want to point out one more thing. Eddie, you're allowing for more practice and learning from your collaborators, right? They actually get to see how to use and learn as well. So think that's a great one. I see. Oh, yes, Kyle is here. He says, swell catch is best. I do see that as well. All right, I want to come on back to our GitHub. So I see we were talking about discussions and pull requests. I'm going to try and go all the way back. So we're continuing to navigate your GitHub repo here. So I see your pinned repositories. Wait, no, are these also? They are.
Those are pinned.
Those are just pinned. Okay.
Yeah.
They're just pinned. And these are these all individual projects that the Eddie Hub is in charge of?
Yes, that's correct. Probably explains why I get like 2,000 GitHub notifications per day, and I can't keep up with them. But the great thing is 99% of them are taken care of by the maintainers, like people like Carl and Emma and so forth. And it's awesome. And the community members do really help. So yeah, these are the projects. Some of them are archived. I think the ones at the bottom are probably archived. As if you enter view all, you'll see some of the archived ones that we no longer maintain. I probably need to archive a few more as well that they're not so busy. But some I really want to focus on. Like I said, link-free project, the live project, the API is now collecting data from people who contribute to Eddie Hub projects, just some stats, which is awesome. So we can see how many pull requests and issues have been raised, comments and so forth have been raised by the community members, which is super cool.
These are the pull requests. I did want to ask about this MIT because I keep seeing people talking about the licensing of different repos. So can you kind of go over, what license you use and what does that mean for your repository and how does that differ and like why you use the MIT license?
Yeah, sure. So licensing is a kind of a complicated topic and not one of my favorites, to be honest, because it's probably, I understand the least about it. I always refer to Sarah for this. I do have a video on my YouTube channel about this, and it didn't do very well. I don't think anyone really cares too much about licensing. Sarah helped me write that. Actually, Sarah wrote most of it, let's be honest here, because I don't understand licensing. But yeah, some licenses are more strict and some are more open, like more permissive. And MIT is one of the ones that are more open, which I really like. So some licenses might say, "Hey, we're open source, but your project must also be open source and have the same license as us." I think that is GPL. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember. Always have to look it up every time. Actually, a way you can look it up, Kat, quite easily is if you go to the URL. It's a website by GitHub called choose, all one word, choosealicense.com.
Choose a license.
Carl says, with licenses, you successfully entered the rabbit hole. Yeah, we'll keep it light on this topic. So here are some examples. So if you want to work with a community, or if you want a permissive one, actually GPL is probably more about the open source. People have to have theirs open source as well. But if you click on the second row, the middle one, more licenses are available. Yeah. Then you get to see the comparison and you can hover over the dots and get a bit more information on different licensing. So it kind of explains what's possible, what's allowed, what's not. I always go for like the most open. I also don't want to be responsible because I think with MIT, if a billion-dollar company uses my project and then it kind of crashes the system, they lose millions of pounds, I don't want to be responsible for it. So that's another one of those licenses that I think is really good because it shows that, liability is limited. So
yeah, that's really cool. So I'm trying to understand. So does that mean, for example, your link-free project, if someone, since it's all open source, people are able to directly copy it?
Yep.
Yeah, and they're able to copy it, and it just says here the derivatives may be used for commercial purposes. So what's stopping people from literally copying your project and selling it?
They could, and it's a question that actually all my clients and everyone has asked all the time. And I think someone said something in an event that really stuck in my mind many years ago. And I want to say it's a bit rude, but it's no one really kind of cares about stealing your kind of, your stupid project because they've got their own stupid projects that they want to do. So it's like, our projects, I love our projects. They're our baby. I can't say my babies. I'm the probably contribute the least to them, but they're kind of like, our babies, but everyone else thinks the same about their projects. So the chances of someone doing that are quite slim. And the maintenance, like, let's just say Google came to you or even Facebook and said, "Hey, look, here's $1 billion. Can you remake Facebook?" you could definitely remake the platform. I don't know if it'd be, you could do it in $1 billion, but you could remake a simple version of the platform. But there would be no users. There'll be no data. Like, it would be hard to collect all that information, right? People aren't going to join if their friends aren't there. And Google, people aren't going to. If you created Google, I don't know, the open source version of Google, and you had no data, no one's going to use it to search and so forth. And there's the maintenance and the infrastructure. And there's so much to it that I think that people aren't going to bother about that. And to be honest, I think I've only seen it happen once. And people have stolen. I say stolen. People, it's not stolen, it's open source, but people have kind of copied the Eddie Hub projects and trying to even create communities and saying, hey, we're the most inclusive open source community. Like, literally taken all our wording, all our projects, create their own organizations, everything. Like, people can invite themselves to the org. They've got the link free. They've got the hackathon project. They've got everything. They've copied every single the support project. Even their documentation has pictures of our members in it. It doesn't even make any sense. But then they end up with like 20 members because, why would someone want to go to a copy? It's like, the content creators who copy other people word for word. Why would someone go for the copied version? They'd go for the original version. So, yeah, I think people want to contribute to another project, and they want to be part of something bigger, and to manage it all yourself is a lot of work and very, very hard to do, and so forth. So yeah, I don't think it really, really happens that much. And if it does, we probably don't see it because it doesn't do very well.
I see. Wow. So it's interesting because, I'm coming from academia, and while there is a lot of sharing of ideas and there definitely is a lot of collaboration. But when you have new software or new technology, it tends to be hidden away because everyone wants to be the first person to share that and to publish that kind of data, for example. So it's interesting to see you phrase it that, it's original, it's authentic, and no one's really going to care about the copied version. That's really interesting. Thank you for clarifying on that, Eddie. Here we go. We're going to save this tab as well.
Okay, cool. And Emma Dawson has made me really happy and says, I had to write an essay comparing different licenses for college, and I still don't understand them. Few, because I get confused every single time. Like, whenever I'm on a panel or giving a talk, I hope no one talks about licenses because it's something I have to go look up every time because it's not something I really look at that often, really.
I can understand. Well, I guess that's why we have lawyers and we have wonderful people like Sarah who understands licenses for us.
By the way, for the record, Sarah also says some of the licenses don't make sense because they're just worded in such a weird way, I think. Yeah. And I think Carl's mentioned a great point about branding, right? You want the authentic side.
Carl says, yes, host an exact copy wouldn't be. Oh, it's kind of like that. It's like that website and that app the United States previous president made to it's his version of Twitter. I forgot what it's called.
Really?
No.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think it happened. I thought there was some talk about it. They actually did it. Interesting.
It did happen because he was banned from Twitter, so it did happen.
Oh, no, I didn't realize. Okay, I don't watch the news, so
it's okay. Don't even give it your energy. It was funny, but it's like people didn't go off of Twitter for that platform, right?
Exactly.
Because you're there for the Twitter community for the brand. I can understand that now. That's really funny. I'm going to keep going back. All right. Thank you for explaining about our licensing here. Eddie, I do know we only agreed on an hour, and I want to respect your time. I know we only have 4 minutes left.
No problem.
So maybe I can keep asking questions in the future, but is there something you would like to share with the community first?
Yes. If there's one thing you take away from this amazing conversation we just had with Kat, is get involved in open source. Even if it's your first day in tech, even if you've never written a line of code, you can get involved in documentation, technical writing, grooming the backlog, although I don't want to say grooming anymore, like going through the backlog, and things like that. Like, there's so much more. Coding is such a small part of the project. There's so much more to it. And so I think you can definitely get involved. And again, I've seen people in the Indie Hub community who have just started coding, but they've got hired as documenters and technical writing or translators and so forth. So there is so much that can be done. And even if you're, 1 month into your coding journey or one day, you can still get involved in the code. Does something kind of not make sense, then ask the question. And I think that's really, really important. So yeah, let's make it just more. The shorter the code doesn't mean it's better. The longer the code doesn't mean it's better. It's what's more readable is what's better. And Emma's doing some great things around accessibility, and I know there's so many improvements that can be made on probably every project on around accessibility. So Emma's made a video on reviewing the Linkfree project on improvements for accessibility. So if anyone wants any green squares, check out the video. There were loads of issues that could be raised and then pull requests that could be raised on improving Linkfree, from simple items like adding alt tags to icons or to images, through to a lot more complicated stuff that I still need to study and learn and understand. But there's definitely lots to learn there.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you. I don't have those links right now in this video, but I will get them from you guys. If you guys want to put in the comments, and I can directly put them in the description as well. And before we do that, I'm also going to quickly show everyone. So in the Eddie Hub repositories, if you scroll down, there is the Hacktober practice, and that's where I did my very first pull request. So if you click on here, I think Eddie did a wonderful explanation of exactly, literally how to do everything. I actually had a lot of questions about branching and pull requests, but maybe next time in the future, Eddie. But exact questions or steps for how anyone, literally anyone with a GitHub repository, a GitHub account, you guys can go on here and also actually,
for the record, I didn't write that. Mine was like 3 tiny bullet points, and over the months and years, the community have just improved it. And when new people have come and said, I've done step 1, I've done step 2, but how do I get to step 3? It's just improved over and over again with time. So I definitely cannot take credit for that. I probably wrote Hacktoberfest pull requests, practice pull requests at the top, and then everyone else made all the other improvements. And there's been a lot of iterations, and you can see that. So if you scroll up slightly, and you go to the file list and click on the README files a bit more. Yeah, click on readme.md, and then we should be able to see there have been almost 1,000 people contributing to this file over the years. So yes, always improvements, like little improvements all the time.
Oh my God, people adding little tiny changes. Oh no, these are people adding their names. Yeah.
Oh yes, you're right. Sorry, this is the Hacktoberfest practice. So yes, my mistake. They add their names to this one. So okay, that's not just for documentation. There's also the names that they add.
Look at all the people who did their pull requests on Eddie's Hacktober practice. If you guys ever want to practice it, come over here and check it out. All right, guys. Eddie, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on here and teaching me so much. Thank you for your time. That's all. That's it.
Thank you for geeking out, especially with Eddie Hub. So I'm super excited to always let people know about Eddie Hub, and that open source is for them. Open source is for everybody. So everyone, get involved, and there's just so many benefits. And you don't have to code. Remember, it's not just about code. It's about collaboration.
It is. Eddie always says collaboration. What did you say? Collaboration first? Is code second?
Code second, exactly.
Okay, yeah. First and code second, exactly. Guys, this is the kind of environment you would want to live and learn and breathe in, really. So I don't even know how I got introduced to Eddie, but this is the kind of environment you want to literally learn in. So
thank you so much. I think we met on Tech Twitter. I'm pretty sure we met on Tech Twitter. And what you're doing with Fit Devs is awesome. And actually, funny enough, a video came out an hour ago. It was scheduled to come out on my YouTube channel about growing on Tech Twitter. So if anyone wants to grow, and how I got from like 4,000 followers to over 70,000 in just over a year, I've shared some tips in that video. After I recorded it and edited, well, I didn't edit it, my video editor edited it, and I watched it back. I thought of so many other things and tips and screenshots. So there'll be a part 3 coming out in a few months or later this year. But watch this, and any questions, any feedback, leave a comment, because then it will give me content for my next video for the improved version. Because I have done a part 1 before when I hit 30,000, I think. So now this is a part 2. So.
Let's do it. Collaborate and all improve all together. Thank you so much, Eddie. And if you guys probably make a video in the future of Fit Devs, Eddie had me on his channel a while ago to actually build our Fit Devs repository. So go check it out. And thank you guys, everyone, for your time. Have a great rest of your day. I have no idea how to end this, Eddie.
At the top right, if you hit end live stream, we can stay on the chat for a few more minutes, but you can just end the live stream.
Awesome. Well, thank you to our amazing audience. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys around.
Give the video a thumbs up.
Yes, give it a thumbs up.
Subscribe below.
Yes, subscribe. Well, subscribe if you want nutritional content. It will be more nutritional lifestyle stuff. But who knows? I don't know. I think it'll be cool doing live Fit Devs on here as well. We'll see. We will see. All right, I'm ending this broadcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.